This is Patrick Mameli from Pestilence, and now you're listening to Heavy Demons Radio.
So, dear Patrick, which are your thoughts about the Agonia Records re-releases of Pestilence classic albums? How do the remasters sound to your ears?
Well, I only can say positive stuff about it because I was closely involved with the remastering. I was involved with the previous mastering as well, but this time it's more close to something that I would enjoy listening to myself. I don't really like to listen to myself that much because I'm always too analytical, but just being a fan of mastering, and because I have my own little studio set up and I'm working with mastering myself, I consider this to be top notch. So I have to say that this is the best version of the re-releases. So I'm very happy with this one.
While speaking about the single albums and going back in time, which are your fondest memories of recording and releasing your debut album, Malleus Maleficarum?
Well, it's because it was our debut album, and it was the first time that we entered the studio in this setting. Of course, you have fond memories of it because every first time that you do something, it stays with you, and it's no difference here. It's like it's the first time you're going to enter the studio. You don't know what the record company. What they want, if you can deliver. And back in the days you had to record in a different way. It was not done digitally, it was more analog. So if you make a mistake, you have to do the recording again. So there was a lot of more liveness in recording stuff. So there was more pressure as when you hear the click track go, and then when you look and then the light is on red, that means that you're recording. So it was a very exciting time. It's the first time that the guys entered the studio, so everybody was very excited. And we are still very young, so we didn't know what to expect anyways.
While with Consuming Impulse, it was like the moment when you embraced the high-quality death metal music. How was that switch?
Well, it was not really that much of a switch. It's like whenever you start a band, you are trying to get everybody's influences involved in there, and then everybody is happy when you make your album, right? But I was already very much more into let's say death metal than the rest of the guys were. They were listening to more thrash like Slayer and Exodus and stuff like that, where I was already much more into let's say pre-death, like Mount Das, and I was listening to Possessed, which is a little bit thrash anyways, but I was listening to a little bit darker music, and for me it was very easy, and I had to convince the guys, come on, this is the way to go. I think that death metal is becoming very big, and since we were all getting involved into the tape trading, which was something that was that we did back in the days with the cassettes, and we get cassettes from Japan, we get cassettes from America and everywhere. So we're trying to listen to more underground music than the established bands already. So when Death was recording, I think it was Leprosy, we came out with Consuming Impulse, and I really think it was the European answer to Death.
Yeah.
So very happy with that album.
Where does the inspiration for that masterpiece entitled Testimony of the Ancient comes from, especially the idea of all those cinematic interludes between the songs?
Well, I have always been, and I think, now that I'm older, I'm going more and more towards cinematic, because I love the relationship between watching a movie and the music that is being created for that specific movie. Let's say you have an adventurous movie, that certain chords and chord changes will work the best.
Yeah.
And if you have a horror movie, then there's different chords that you use and to make it stand out and to get people's attention and create tension and stuff like this. So I was always interested in cinematics and this type of music composing. And when we did Testimony of the Ancients, since Martin was not in the band anymore, that we could experiment a little bit more, whereas Martin wanted to go more in the direction that is more primal, more simpler death metal. And me being a musician, I always want to progress, and we were happy that we could experiment a little bit, and that's where the idea came from, to having all these little interludes that glued the whole album together and make it more of a musical experience in that regards.
How was to work at an incredibly complex album such as Spheres, and what happened once the album was released within the band?
Well, before we were going to record Spheres, we made a demo with 3 songs that appeared on the album Spheres. These 3 songs were recorded with a more metal approach, as we were trying to distract Roadrunner or Road Racer at that time, that we were capable of coming with a sort of Testimony Part 2. But we were not very happy with Roadrunner, because they were flooding the market with all kinds of death metal bands that flooded the market and were not so significant as we think that we were, because we created Testimony of the Ancients, which is now, I guess, a cult album, and everybody loves that album,
Yeah.
right? So we felt with signing all these bands and flooding the death metal scenes that we were not, as much important anymore to the record label. But they didn't want to let us go, because they were hoping that we were doing a Testimony of the Ancients Part 2. And I wanted to get out of the contract, because I felt, and I've felt that for a longer time, is that it was more the business side that kind of got me detached from the whole scene, because the business side was pretty hard and tough. So I was wondering whether they cared about music in the first place. They were caring, and this is still happening now. Record labels want to make money, and that's that's their drive, is to make money. And we were in for the music, so we have a more idealistic thought about the whole process. So we didn't get the attention that we deserved, so we created Spheres, and I knew that they were going to hate that album, and surely they dropped us. And this was the whole idea of creating Spheres. And at that time, the fans were not ready for an album like this, because it was too much out there. And now a lot of people embrace it. There's a lot of people that still hate it, but a lot of people embrace it now, and now they understand the reasons why we created that album. Not to be just more jazzy or out there. No, we wanted to get out of the contract, and we succeeded. So I was happy to be liberated and freed from the prison that we were in.
While talking about the present days, how is the studio work doing? How are things going with Portals?
Well, Portals is not done yet. We're working on the release of the Levels of Perception album, it's called, and this album will have some of our favorite songs on there, and songs that we recreated that were, for example, was on Doctrine. We love that album, but it didn't get any attention. Same goes for Obsidio, which is, I think, a great album, which doesn't and deserves more attention. So we're trying to get all these albums out there, and then we recreate the songs with the lineup that we have now. So very happy with the outcome, and people will hear the difference between when we recorded it back then and the knowledge and the capabilities that we have now to reproduce those songs. Some people like it, some people don't like it when you make a remake of a song. But I feel it's like when you become a better musician, you can reinvent your own songs and make them better. Now, if you can't make them better, then you shouldn't do it. But we feel like we can make them better, so they sound amazing. So vocals have to be recorded, and then it's mixing and mastering time, and then hopefully September, October it will be on the market. After this period, I will start working on Portals, which I have already written 8 songs, but I'm not very happy with it because in the meantime I'm progressing so much with my musical thoughts and my theory and how I think about music that I'm trying to make the best album yet. So something that is very much in my mind is to never look back, always try to top the stuff that I've done before. So now I think I have the capability of making music that hasn't been heard before. So for me, it's a big task. And Portals is going to be the best thing you've ever heard. It's something that you can't even grasp, I think. It will have a fierce effect because it's like, holy shit, what are we listening to? What is this? Right? This is out of this earth. It's something that hasn't been done before in death metal, and will get us right at the top because this is my goal, is to have the wow factor and people just say, wow, what is this? I have no idea what this is. They have to really take it in and try to take it in, and then maybe take a week and then try to understand the album, and then you'll see how amazing it is. It's going to be something that you haven't heard before. It's going to be really amazing.
What shall we expect from your Italian show at Metal Italia Festival?
Well, you can expect very much enthusiasm because it's been a while since I've played in the motherland, and we're going to make a set for everybody's liking. We're going to try to play as many different songs from different albums. So everybody gets their share of, this is my favorite album. Yes, and we're going to play a song from that favorite album. So, and with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, especially going back to Italy. I just love the Italian fans, and I know they love me. So, we have a very good understanding always when I come.
And outside the metal area, which are your favorite genres in terms of music, kind of music?
Well, I guess it's more the stuff that I produce myself. I have a hard time listening to other music because when I find something interesting, it most of the time is just a little part of that music scene which I like. I don't like all jazz, for example, but I like certain parts in jazz that I kind of feel triggered by. But to be honest, I think it's best for me not to listen to much music at all because I get too much influenced. That's why I don't listen to metal in general, because I get too much influenced, and then subconsciously it will trigger me in when I create my own music. I'm scared that I will copy some parts, and I don't like that. I just like to be as original as possible. So the further I go away from metal, the more I can enjoy some music, and that could be like experimental jazz fusion. But I also like electronic music.
Yeah,
I have my own. I have my own project called Drone 187. Which is more cinematic with electronic drums, and it's got a nice gloomy atmosphere and nice melody lines. So that's something that I do as well, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of that, other than Pestilence.
What do you miss the most about the death metal scene of the late 80s, early 90s?
Well, it's very easy. The solidarity and the brotherhood, and I think that nowadays a lot of stuff, and just not just in metal or whatever, but in general, stuff has been politicized so much, is to where to the point that even in metal, you get subgroups and that use politics to ban another group, or ban another group of people when they don't think the same. I remember that when metal, when it started, when the first Floridian death metal bands came out, and we were tape trading. Everybody just recognized another brother, and everybody treated each other with respect. But now it's more like, if you don't belong to this certain group, then you're like outcasted, and it's because of it's politicized.
Yeah, and which final message and greetings would you send out to your Italian fans?
Well, what I always tell them when I think about Italy, when I think about the mentality of the people, I always feel that I have always have a warm feeling about Italy and the Italian metal scene and the fans, and just in general, me being Italian myself, I still have family in Sardinia, and so whenever I go back, I feel at home. I feel more relaxed, and I love the food. I love the Italian food. I love the mentality and the hospitality and the way people think about life in general. So just happy to be back in Italy and perform for our Italian fans, and hopefully we get to see and shake hands, because that's what we do. When we come there, it's not like, okay, after the show we're just off to the hotel. No, I just like to shake hands and autograph and meet lots of people and see those happy faces, because that's what it's all about. It's all about love, man.